Hi, my name is Melissa van Dijk and I'm a makeup artist, and in this video I'm going to share beautiful eye makeup looks which I'm going to create with the Bonjour Montreal Eyeshadow Palette, which is by Essence. And this palette was actually recommended from one of my subscribers. Thank you, Mickey. I get my hands on the palette, and maybe I can get you on using the rosy shadows as well. But for all the other ones, this is a brand new palette that Essence launched, and this one is definitely a fall eyeshadow palette because it includes some of the mattes as well as the shimmers are a little bit darker, and the colors are beautiful and matching to the leaves as well. And so I just wanted to share my inspiration, that if you are curious to get your hands on the palette as well, that you know how you can play around with the colors. But of course, I mean, it's your creativity, have fun with the palette. And so now I'm also going to start off with the first look, which I'm going to keep very simple, as we still can keep it simple and create a beautiful eye makeup look. And I'm going to start off with step number 1, which is applying the yellow matte shadow, which is this one right here, on the main lid area. And I'm also using a blending brush for it and dust this all over so that we have an even base to start with. Now I do have to say that with a yellow matte shadow, you not only can use this one as a base color, but you also can use this one later on if you want to blend any edges away, and having a lighter shadow to help you to blend any harsh edges or making the color looking a little bit softer when it's through the crease and above, then you always can go back and use this lighter shadow. Now for the main lid area and also for step number 2, I'm going to use this lighter shade right here, and I'm going to apply it with my finger, and later on I'm also going to blend it through the crease so that I can soften those edges. And this is also the main shadow, so we are going to apply it from the inner corner towards the outer, all over the eyelid area. And there you have it. This is already one of our first eye makeup looks which I wanted to share with you guys, as if you have smaller eyes and you want to make them look bigger, using lighter shadow on the main lid area, or like using it all over the eyelid area in general, can help you to make the eyes look bigger. Now if the eyeshadow doesn't really fully give you the whole like opening the eye effect, then you also can use either nude or a white eyeliner on the waterline, but this is optional, you don't have to. So let's move on to the next eye makeup look. Now for the second eye makeup look, I'm going to keep this one a bit darker, and I'm going to start off with adding a crease shadow. And I'm going to stick with the light brown, which is still very dark, but this one is a bit of a darker palette. And I'm also going to use a blending brush, which will help me to blend the shadow through the crease as well as connecting it with the outer corner. Now it's your choice if you want to keep the outer corner a little bit rounded, or if you want to keep it a little bit pointed, that you really have the V shape. But make sure that if you have, for example, downturned eyes, that you're not going to follow your shape or your crease area too much, as then the whole look can look droopy and makes your downturned eyes even more downturned. So what you can do to lift the eyeshadow is using a bit of concealer on a brush or on a sponge, and always go from the outer corner upwards towards the end tail of your brow to make sure that it's lifted instead of looking downturned. And so now we can add a little bit of shimmer on the main lid area, and for that I'm going to dig into the rosy shade, which is definitely more of a cool toned rosy brown shadow. And I'm going to use my finger to apply it on the main lid area. I'm going to start off pressing it on top and then blending it until I'm reaching the crease shadow. And now to highlight the inner corner, I'm going to use a brush as well as digging into the light shimmery shadow that I used earlier for the first eye makeup look. And with the brush, I'm also going to really get it towards the inner corner. You can also use your pinky if you like to, but if you want to also blend it a little bit more towards the upper eyelid shadow, then you can also use a brush for it. And there you have it. This is already the second eye makeup look which I wanted to share with you. This is definitely more of a darker eye makeup look, but it still performs so well, especially if outside it's like rainy and dark outside, then we can also wear a little bit more of a darker eyeshadow. So now let's move on to the next eye makeup look. Now for the third eye makeup look, I'm going to stick with the light brown shadow through the crease, but I'm not going to add it towards the outer corner. And I'm also going to use a different blending brush as I wanted to keep it very light through the crease. And this one is not as densely packed with the bristles as other blending brushes, which makes it easy to use it very light hand to create like a shadow through the crease, and keeping it also very soft. And so now for the next step, I'm also going to add the rosy shade towards the outer corner, and I'm also going to use a crease brush for it. And because the rosy shade is already a bit darker, it's perfect to add it also towards the outer corner to add some depth but still keep the shimmer. And this is what I'm going to do. And so now for the next step, I'm also going to add the golden orangey shimmery shade, which is this one right here, on the rest of the main lid area. And I'm also going to blend it into the darker rosy tone. And I'm also going to apply it with my finger and blend it with my finger. And there you have already the third eye makeup look on how you can also use two shimmers on the main lid area but still add a little bit more depth to the outer corner. And if you're using a crease shadow, it doesn't always have to be a very harsh shadow. You can also use it very light and just very soft to create a bit of a shadow to also lift this part right here, and also have a guideline where you can apply the other shadows later on, like next to it or underneath it. And now this brings me also to the next eye makeup look. Now again, for the last eye makeup look, I'm going to stick with the brown shadow through the crease, as I just love this shade when it comes to using it as a transition if you want to apply it lightly or if you want to apply it very intensively, then it also will give you a beautiful finish and the color combination works perfectly together. And so I'm going to start off using a blending brush as well as applying it through the crease and the outer corner. And now for the next step, I'm just going to switch the shadows as well as the way on how I'm going to apply the next two shadows on my main lid area are also a little bit different. Now, as I did in the third eye makeup look, I started off with the outer corner and then the main lid shadow. Now this time I'm going to start off with the main lid shadow, which is also this light shadow right here. It's the shimmery one, which I'm going to apply with my finger from the lash line through the crease and blend those two together. So now that we started off with the main lid shadow at first, I'm now going to dig into the next shade, which is the dark red rosy tone. And this also will bring me to the third step, so that I can blend it from the outer corner towards the midsection. And I'm not only going to keep it only towards the outer corner, I'm slightly going to blend it toward the midsection so that we have a really nice gradient going on. And it's also a bit darker towards the outer corner. And the rosy shade that I'm using is this one right here. It's a bit of a darker one, as well as it's a bit more red rosy than a brown rosy, which like still will give you a different finish because it's a different color. And I'm going to start off with the crease brush and then later on using my finger to help me blend those two together. And so this is also a different technique on how you can add those two shadows on the main lid area, like, well, at the outer corner and the main lid area. You can either do the lightest first and then the darkest, or the darkest first and then the lightest, and it also depends on the finish that you want to reach. It also is a bit trickier if you're going to use matte only when it comes to the outer corner and adding it to the main lid area, but with the shimmers it always will give you a beautiful shift as you have a beautiful gradient going on, and those shadows are also easier to melt. Now, this is also the last eye makeup look which I wanted to share with you using the Bonjour Montreal Eyeshadow Palette by Essence. I personally have to say those shadows are gorgeous, especially the shimmery ones. They apply so smoothly on the main lid area. This is really an amazing palette, and as I mentioned, if you like to have some darker colors, then this is also the perfect palette for you. Now, if you like this video and you also like the tutorials, then don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and also share it, as this is an independent channel, which means that I'm buying the products with my own money. And thank you so much for watching and your support, and I will see you soon in the next one. Bye!